It's part 11 of Guide to Universal Living. So we are joined today by Laverne again. Wow, Laverne, we've done nearly a whole year of this.
I
How good are
know.
we?
I think we're doing a great job.
I do. Welcome. And for anyone who's new to the podcast, you can check out all of the episodes that we've done so far, one a month, right through 2024. Guide to Universal Living. You can find all of those. There's one a month the third Friday of each month. So we're here today, and we certainly haven't run out of things to talk about. In fact, it's like, how do we cull? You're very good at, Laverne, at tuning in, tapping into what's it going to be about this month? Like you're getting the vibes for it, right? And we're going to be talking about the vibes today. And we're going to start with that. So that was not deliberate, but it's worked. So we're going to be talking about how to create a high vibration environment. So all of the previous episodes in this series have been talking about us and how we can do things like for our physical bodies and our spiritual progression, enlightenment, and about raising our own frequency and vibration. But today we're going to be talking about how we can make the environments that we're in higher vibration. And before I hit record, I said to Laverne, do you mind if we open with just a little bit of conversation about what vibration means to Laverne, to me? Like, what does it mean? So that's what we're going to do.
And what I quickly threw back into Nadine's lap was, what does it mean to you when you heard me talk about this? And this is part of my challenge. I talk about things that are very, what I term normal to me. And what I'm learning more and more through you, Nadine, is that might be normal to you, but for most people, it might be woo-woo. And so I quickly threw it back over the fence and said, what does high vibration mean to you? If I say, let's come into your home and create a high vibration home environment,
Yeah.
what comes to mind for you? So I think that's actually a good place to start.
Yeah. And we were just doing our little chat beforehand, and then we were like, we need to hit record and get this down as part of the episode. So I said, so for me, good vibes. I even had a sticker. I remember a sticker or a fridge magnet that said "good vibes only," and it's a feel-good term. But now, over the last few years, I've realised that it means so much more. And I don't know a whole bunch of science, but I do know that the whole world is vibrating, right? And that we vibrate at different frequencies. And in fact, our cells, atom cells, we're a vibration ourselves of cells or atoms. As I said, I'm not very down on the science. We're quite slow vibration, I believe.
Not necessarily,
Okay.
but we're all definitely have our own vibration and operating at a different vibratory rate. So
that's what makes us three-dimensional, right? That's what creates the dimension that we're in.
So the lower vibration that you're talking to is more the physical level of our vibration, and then there's levels and levels to that. But that's a pretty good place to start. You've done quite well. So everything has a vibration, and everything operates at a frequency of rate. So if you think about radio station, different radio channels have different frequencies. So I use those words interchangeable. They go hand in hand. And the way I would think about the home, if you want to think about the home, it's an extension of our own energy, really. It's a place where your surroundings can either uplift you, and your home can uplift you, or it could actually drain you. Look, let's just touch on the fact that Nadine and I have talked about for this year and the journey that we've been on together is really exploring alternative ways to support sustainable wellness and what I call the true essence of balance in our mind, body, soul, and spirit by really diving into different aspects of transference healing, which is a high frequency energy system, and it's an ascension practice. And what we've been doing all year is introducing a variety of tools, looking at ways to empower ourselves to lift our own vibration and rise above life challenges, so we don't get caught in the lower vibration of some of the challenges we see day to day or playing out in the world. So really this year, if you think about it, we've been looking at different ways, different tools to lift our own vibration. And as I said, our home environment is an extension to that. So I thought, what better place to nearly land at the end of the year? So I would encourage people to go back to different podcasts because they're like jigsaw pieces. And I felt before we come to the end of the year, where we're going to do a bit of a summary, I believe, in December of what have we covered, what are the key points of that year. A good place to land would be, how can we look at our home environment? How can we support ourselves in our home environment and through that create a high vibration home, right? And why is that important? Okay, so basically, what we're going to do is explore some simple but powerful ways to shift the energy in our home space to create a home that fosters tranquility and peace. So we'll look at it from that perspective. We'll discuss practical techniques to raise the vibration in each room, because we might use different rooms for different situations and occasions, and using tools that not only clear stagnant energy, but also invite a flow that supports relaxation, rejuvenation, and healing, right? Or we might want to create a room that inspires creativity and productivity, especially if you've got a working room, right? There's so many people work from home now. You want a home space where you can go to work in your home office and feel that you can be really productive. How can you create that? Or for some people, it might be, how do I create a room space where I feel that I can meditate in and go into a real state of stillness, or create a very protective, safe space just to, whether it's meditation or just to relax. There's different ways we can look at creating high vibration house, home, and a room, right? What will be good is that we cover the importance of regular energetic maintenance and how small intentional changes can transform our space into a true sanctuary, and creating a home that becomes a place of renewal and support, and grounding us into a high frequency. So if we've had a busy day at work, we've come back into the home, that the home environment is set up and templated that we can let go of the day and we can quickly come back into that state of peace and harmony from a busy schedule, and the home environment can be templated to do that. So what I'll aim to do is basically break down each approach to make it easy for people to apply insights that we'll be talking to today and apply it to their own environment. But before we do this, Nadine, because it's going to be quite interactive, I'm surrounded by different things that I'm going to be pulling out. It's worth considering why creating a high vibration home environment is important. And I guess linking back into all the other podcasts that we've talked about, clearing our energy, the fact that we're releasing almost every moment, we're clearing in the moment and releasing. And the home space is actually absorbing this energy constantly. So whether it's while we're sleeping at night, I know I can speak for myself. I do a lot of my processing at night while I'm sleeping. I know it sounds strange. I actually almost can observe myself processing at night. So we're releasing at night. If you ever wake up first thing in the morning and you feel really heavy, it's probably because you've been clearing and releasing and processing a lot. That's in your energy field in your bedroom, right? Or if you're working from home, more and more people are working from home, busy on the phone, stress, deadlines to meet. The office environment can be holding that energy, right? There's lots of different reasons. Or family. Now, look, we all love our family, but let's face it, family dynamics do play out, right? So we're not all perfect in every moment of the day. There might be a crossword or a child not being friendly to its sibling or whatever. So all of this is energy, right? So I think the more you become sensitive to energy and the more you start to think, I'm just going to run a few procedures on myself, the more sensitive you actually become to your home environment too. So for a lot of people, they may not sense that they need to do this in the home. I have continued to throw out the gauntlet to be able to say, just run white light up your body, give that a go, or violet flame, give that a go. Because if they do that consistently, they become more sensitive to energy. And what they will notice is they'll pick up their sensitivity to the energy of the home too, right? So there are lots of good reasons to keep clearing the space, because if we don't clear our space, it will impact members of the family. And when we were talking about crystal children a few podcasts ago, I said crystal children, children coming through now are more sensitive to energy and their environment than ever before. And if you ever notice your child is continuously getting a cough or cold or something always going on for them that's symptomatic, often it's because their space, then you need to clear the space. And if you clear their space, especially their bedroom, that will support them, that they can naturally resource themselves, and they'll probably get sick less often, okay? So for some of us, we may not be sensitive to energy. There might be children in the family unit that are, and they will be impacted more. And it might be simply they're more moody or on a certain day, or something's going on for them. Or as I said, they become symptomatic or fall sick on a regular basis, okay? So these are reasons why you would consider some of the things that we're going to touch on today. Let's explore how to cultivate a space that nurtures and uplifts and supports the whole family.
Cool. Can I just ask you before we start, is this anything like Feng Shui? Not that I know anything about Feng Shui, but
I'm glad you raised that, because I hadn't made a trigger note for myself around that. Absolutely.
Okay.
When I think back 35 years ago, I started out, when I became more conscious of my environment, I started out just reading Feng Shui books, right? I was very interested. So yes, and that is a brilliant segue into, if you really want to learn more in a more practical way outside what we're going to be covering today. I'm trying to bring some practical tools today. Absolutely pick up really straightforward Feng Shui book. I don't have my copy here. And that's where I started. Absolutely. And so the principles of what Feng Shui teaches about creating flow of energy through the house so that it never stagnates is absolutely a great starting place for a lot of people. And some of the things that I talked to today will actually dovetail into the principles of Feng Shui anyway. So yes, great question. So I thought I would start with the practical tool that I used. So I was actually practicing Feng Shui on a basic level. I hadn't done any proper courses. I just had a book. But I came across someone, I don't know who told me this, but basically, so grab yourself a saucepan, fill it with hot water, grab yourself some rosemary. Place it in the saucepan of hot water, leave it on the stove, obviously, because it's got to keep boiling. And the vapor from the rosemary will waft through the house. So rosemary, as an analogy, is similar to sage, which we'll talk about at the moment.
Yeah.
But if you have nothing, but you think, oh, I've got a herb garden, I've got a saucepan, I've got access to hot water, I'll grab some rosemary from the garden, because quite a few people are growing herbs these days. You could just literally boil it in the water on your stove, and the fragrance of the rosemary will waft through the house. So I used this technique when I was living in an apartment, which was perfect because you have fire alarms and everything. Some of the techniques I talked to today, you're burning fire. And so rosemary is one way of just cleansing stale, stagnant energy. So that's just a simple way. Someone doesn't have to go and buy anything as such. Maybe at the supermarket they have to get themselves some rosemary, maybe if they don't have herbs in the garden. But that's where I started, reading a feng shui book and boiling rosemary.
Yeah.
Cool. So I guess the next one, which is in line with this, is sage.
Yes, I was going to ask you about sage.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is what I moved to next. And again, the intention of these techniques is really just to cleanse the space. So if there's like stagnant or heavy energy, I'll use the term negative energy. We all have a negative thought. These are great for lifting and clearing negative energy. Okay. So you can either buy it actually as loose leaf, or you can get them like as it's like
stick,
a bunch.
They call them, don't they? Like a sage stick.
Yeah. So I've pulled mine apart. You notice you might not notice, I've got salt.
Yeah.
So I've got a bowl and I've got salt, and you can notice I've got quite a deep bowl. And all I do is take a bit, grab my lighter. So this would be quite well known, very shamanic.
Does it have to be white sage?
Look, traditionally speaking, white sage is what we use. So look, so you can see it smoking now. If I was going around the house naturally, I'd have my bowl. For two reasons. I successfully do have little black marks on my carpets everywhere. But the other thing you can do.
Oh, cool.
I've got my own little. You could just have a single feather.
Yeah.
This is very shamanic. And literally, I just go around the house. And I definitely go into every single corner, crook and cranny I can find.
Yeah.
And I just literally fan. You probably can't see the smoke, but it is smoking.
Yeah.
And I just go around and fan, right?
Yeah.
Now, when I've started using this, my husband did not like the smell of this, okay? And so it wouldn't be unusual if it's a female starting to use something like this. It wouldn't be unusual for a member of the family not to like the smell.
Okay.
So just hold that thought. But it's a beautiful, practical way of cleansing the space. Open windows so the smell wafts through. But before I move on to much further, is you can get the essence.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't.
So like a diffuser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So diffusers are really big. So you can get rosemary, you can get sage, you can get lemon. So I have 3 diffusers.
Okay.
And particularly in winter, I will diffuse lemon in my son's room at night, because it's very good for clearing and warding off. Lavender is great in a space where you just want to read and just be quiet. Lavender is very calming, or we've had a busy day. Or you could actually have lavender going during a work, because what it does, it just invokes a calmness, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Working with the essence of herbs.
And that will cleanse a space, or is it to create a feeling, or?
Well, one or the other. So, if I was using frankincense or rosemary essence, that would have very much a cleansing effect.
Yeah.
But if I'm using lemon, is great to ward off colds. Or if someone's got a cold. The other way that you can use it is a burner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like an old school candle oil burner.
Yeah. I've used this with water
and a couple of drops.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's all about, everyone's got their personal preferences. So back to your point, yes, it's when you're working more with diffusers or oil burners, it can be used to cleanse a space, and it can be used to create and invoke a feeling. doTERRA is great, very high frequency product. So high frequency is also high quality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Frankincense as an essence and so forth. So those are more practical. If you really want to get serious, I've got another bowl.
Yeah.
I've got a bowl within a bowl. And what I might do is move my camera initially just while I'm doing this. So this one is another very shamanic approach.
You got all the gear, haven't you? Salt. What's the salt for?
Salt itself is very cleansing. So you could have, this is a good question too. I wasn't going to cover this. This is good because you could have jars or bowls of salt around the house, because that in itself can
absorb,
clear negative energy.
Is that what salt lamps are for?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So this one's, you've got to be a bit more enthusiastic with this one because you do have to buy the different components. So notice I've got two dishes, right?
Yeah.
And I've got salt.
So Laverne's she's got two sort of small, for those listening, two bowls, and the top one's got salt in it.
Yeah.
She's got something in between her tongs. She's got some tongs.
Charcoal. So this is charcoal. This is charcoal.
Charcoal. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is like the next step up of just burning sage.
Oh, okay.
Right? So
I've never heard of this.
Lighting the charcoal. They're easily accessible. If you go onto a website that sells resins, oil burners, they would sell this type of thing.
Okay.
I'm just smoking it.
Yeah.
And I'm just placing it in the bowl.
Yeah.
Now, we transference healing people do this nearly daily.
Oh.
This is frankincense.
Yeah. In a powder.
So this is, it's resin.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I'm burning that resin, which happens to be frankincense.
Yeah.
You can get all different types. And again, I'm using this. And what I would do is go around my house and waft this right around my house. So you wouldn't actually need a lot because this amount
pretty intense.
It's quite intense, but I love frankincense. And you can get different ones, by the way. But you would literally go around the house and I've got the two trays for two reasons. That charcoal gets very hot.
Yep.
You would never have that charcoal in a low and put it on something because it can burn.
Yeah, okay.
That's why I'm being super cautious.
Yeah.
And I've actually got it in two bowls, right?
Yeah.
So I happen to have one of these. Right?
This is a fan for the listeners who aren't watching the video.
Made up of different
feathers.
Bird
amazing.
Feathers.
Yeah.
And all I'm doing, using air element to waft the smoking frankincense from the chop, and I'm literally cleansing my space this way. Now,
you do that every day?
I would do this particular practice, I would do at least twice a week. And then I would use my saging and other things I'm going to show you every day.
Wow.
I'm cleansing my space every day. The reason why I go the extra mile with this, and this will be for people more serious and really are sensitive to energy, is when I'm running. If I have a client and I'm running, I cleanse the space.
Yes. Yeah.
So I really want to make sure that my healing space that the person's coming into for energy is clear.
Yeah.
I have gridding practices here. So when I'm teaching, I would absolutely be using this.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have, if you love frankincense and similar resins, what we might do is create a bit of a list for the
notes. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll provide some extra information. This is lovely. I love frankincense. So that's that one. Look, all of those different, they all ultimately...
You're not going to get smoked out, are you?
No. I have been known to do it though. My husband has become very patient with me over the years. And ironically, he doesn't mind sage anymore. Before, He had an aversity to it, but he quite likes it now. So if anyone finds that they start using sage and there's someone in
I like it. Yeah.
Over time, everyone gets with the program. Okay.
Maybe they just needed some cleansing.
Yeah. A term we use when we're working with sage is, they call it smudging.
Yes.
Okay. Very shamanic. If you go into Aboriginal communities, they'll grab gum tree branches and they would burn that and smudge people that way. So it's very ancient, traditional, shamanic way of cleansing a house. What I was hoping to have here today, and we'll definitely have this in the notes, because if someone who tries sage burning and really doesn't like it, a beautiful one to work with is Palo Santo. Palo Santo. It's better to get it in chip form, but it almost looks like a piece of wood, a stick of wood. And it's actually known as holy wood. And it's an alternative to smudging with sage. And I love it. And I wish I had it here today to show you, but unfortunately it didn't arrive. It's very purifying. It's very cleansing, like all the other things I've already mentioned. What I say to people is try a number of these different things and find what really works for you, because what you're trying to do is just create harmony and peace, as well as keep shifting the energy in the home. So yeah, so we've talked about...
So they're all kind of smelly things, aren't they?
We haven't finished with the smellies. I would
more smellies.
I would classify all those types of things under more herbs, yeah?
Yes.
So whether it's natural herb, dried herb, sage, herbs that have been distilled into essence. You can get every herb possible as an essence and have that in a diffuser or an oil burner. So to me, they're more natural. Resins, you could buy a few, store them, and then whatever you feel like you could basically work with. So that's more of the products from the earth, so to speak. The next one, which I think would be more palatable for most people, is a vibrational misting spray. And you're seeing more and more of these, right? I'm noticing more and more of these products now. Yeah, surprise, transfer sealing does have vibrational mist. So you were asking me, do you do that every day? So I would resin probably a couple of times a week, or if I've got a client coming, or if I'm running a workshop or whatever. But day to day, outside using my diffusers or oil burner, I use a spray.
Yeah.
So this is what we call a vibrational misting spray, and what it comprises of is purified water, essential oils. And what's great about this, if you've got young children and you don't really want to be smoking in the house, not that you would necessarily do it with children around, this is a great substitute. It's very gentle. It's very remedial. Basically, I would go around. I specifically spray the bedroom and the bed. Often my husband wants too much information maybe, but my husband's in bed. He's just settling down and I'm going around spraying him and the pillow. I try and get to his pillow before he gets to bed, but I tend to spray just as we go to bed. My son, I'll spray his room daily, his bedroom and his study room. And then I do squirts around the house. But yes, so this is a beautiful therapeutic way of cleansing a space, so they probably feel more effervescent, so to speak, right? I might spray my body. I might spray my crystals. Whatever I feel, I just intuitively work with it. Now, one that is pretty mainstream, candles.
Of course. Yeah.
If you came into my home, and I'm really looking forward to you coming at some point, Nadine, I have candles in every room. Okay. So you can get the really nice fancy ones. And this one's got a lotus flower in crystals, and it's just stunning. It smells beautiful. That, not only is that supporting a shift and clearing of energy, but it's also creating an ambience, and whatever the fragrance is supporting a natural state of being. from a transference healing perspective, we work a lot with white candles. And if you were ever to come here for a transference healing session, you'd notice I have a minimum of 3 candles burning while I'm running energy. The reason why we burn 3 white candles is it creates a trinity effect and a transmutation. So it cleanses, it purifies, and transmutes any low vibration. And it doesn't have to be like most of the think candles, they either think something really fancy, which I've just seen, but it could be 1 white candle or 3 candles, like bigger. You create a nice display with them. But it could be simply
tea lights.
3 in each room. I use tea lights and a trinity of 3 tea lights often to cleanse, purify, transmute, and shift the energy. And I try and find spots where it's like close to a corner of a room, because that's where energy can stagnate.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how I'm shifting the energy of a house, right? Yeah, so 3 white candles creates that shifting and transmutation. But then you could say, I want to invoke something. You could work with pink candles or whatever color. Ultimately, you can work with. I showed you the more fancy one. Candles generally will support a shifting of energy. And I don't know about you, when I light candles at night and I don't have any lights on and I move from room to room and there's candles burning,
it's nice.
And you can tell that the space has cleared because there's a stillness with the flame that is just becomes very still. After a while, it might be moving around a bit.
Yeah,
and right. You know that space is cleared because everything becomes very still. Now, onto crystals.
Yes,
crystals. Now, crystals are really interesting. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I was in a very upmarket furniture store a couple of months ago, and I noticed they had these quite massive cluster type crystals on a coffee table or a dining table or a sideboard. And I thought, well, that's interesting, because I've been doing that for years as I collect crystals. And I'm noticing now it seems to be becoming a bit chic thing to do, to have your special little crystal. One of the first ones I ever bought as a house.
Oh, wow.
Was this one. I have bigger ones. But
what's that, selenite or?
No, this one's actually clear quartz.
Clear quartz.
But it's quite cloudy, which makes it more feminine, to be honest. You can just see it. That was one of the first, and I used that as a sort of a centerpiece on my coffee table. It's now in my healing space. But you can get really big pieces, or my very first crystal that I ever bought for myself was this one.
Oh, yeah.
I was attracted to it. It's a personal favorite. So I used to have this by my bed. So crystals are becoming popular showpieces in the home, in the same way that crystal jewelry is starting to become very popular.
Can you use smaller crystals? Because those ones that you've shown us, they're big. I've got crystals, but they're lit. They're like you can hold them in your hand.
Tumblestones. I've created some photos of images from around my house that I'll post on Instagram. Yeah, this one looks big, but this was like $20 when I bought it, right?
Yeah.
Yes, tumblestones. It can be tumblestones, right? I've got crystals everywhere, and I use them as showpieces, but they have an intention behind them. What's really interesting with crystals generally, just as a bit more of a spiritual aspect of crystals, they basically are created with different frequencies of cosmic light. So if you saw rose quartz, they hold a different vibration.
Oh, wow. That's a big one.
That's a skull.
Was that your skull?
Yeah. They hold a different vibration. On rose quartz is associated with love. So I have quite a bit of rose quartz around the house.
Yeah.
Clear quartz is a magnifier. It's a very cleansing. It's like a light worker crystal. It's like the go-to master crystal. So I've got quite a lot of clear quartz around. But each crystal has a frequency, and what's happening right now, universally, light is and sound is really hitting the planet, and crystals are being activated.
Wow.
More and more, they're becoming more powerful. Is that the right term? Basically, they're just being triggered, and basically light that's filtering through from the universe is activating them on another level. So it's interesting that I'm starting to see that their homeware stores are selling it now. And I mentioned clear quartz would be probably one of the first go-to crystals that you would go to, because they are known for purifying and heightening vibration, especially if you set the intention. If you put a clear quartz crystal with a candle, close together, that's transmuting, but that's magnifying the transmutation. But one thing I would say to people is, you could walk into a crystal store and find that you gravitate to a crystal and think, oh my God, I've got to have that. Just grab it, take it before you even read up on it. This is selenite, and it's a very healing stone, and it helps filter prana into the etheric body. So the etheric body is the first level of the energy body.
Okay.
And so this is beautiful to have by the bedside. And I've got different versions of that. You could have a little wand. I've actually got one of my favorite pieces, got an angel.
Oh, yeah.
I have this in my healing space, right? And you can get some beautiful carvings of different crystals. The selenite's another one.
I think I've got a selenite wand, actually.
Beautiful. Selenite's good if you've got a pain somewhere on your body.
Yeah.
You put your selenite on your body.
I think that I read, I haven't used it, and you're inspiring me to get my crystals out. Selenite is good for aura cleansing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Rose quartz, we know, I said, is the love stone. So you might have some rose quartz around you for supporting feelings of self-love, stronger sense of self-worth. If you're overcoming some painful feelings, you might have some rose quartz around you. It's not how big a piece is. So I know I'm wheeling out some big pieces. You could have a tumble stone and put it in your pocket or somewhere in an item of clothing that is close to your body, okay, or close to your heart. So rose quartz, lovely. Celestite, which I don't have in front of me. Celestite is beautiful and very healing. I've got a beautiful celestite in the bathroom, and also one in our TV room, and that's really about harmonious relationships. So I've got that. So it's great for the family home. An amethyst, which is quite well known, whether it's a tumblestone amethyst, is good. Amethyst is linked to Saint Germain, violet flame. So it really supports any release of negative thoughts, feelings, struggle, you're feeling struggle. So I would have amethyst around me.
Yeah.
So that's crystals. So becoming more and more popular. Not size does not matter.
What about plants? Do you a plant thing?
Yes, and really I should have probably covered that up front.
You've got a plant behind you.
I've got plants everywhere.
I'm getting more plants. I've got plants behind me too.
And I've got a peace lily. So as you walk through the front door, the first thing is this massive peace lily. At the front, feng shui, I've got the jade.
Oh,
plant,
yeah.
Right? Prosperity at the front door. Yeah, plants, obviously natural plants, flowers. I've got a beautiful orchid in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So I've got an orchid crystal and a tea light candle. But they're doing more.
They've got energetic properties.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, one that wouldn't be so obvious, I'm just moving myself, is whether it's pictures, or you can see I've got geometric mandalas behind me. I've got them. So the top one is the Metatron cube, which is also a symbol of the Merkaba, which is another podcast in its own right. The middle one is the flower of life, right? So these symbols have an energy behind them, right? So once they look two-dimensional, they're actually holographic And so they're supporting the energy of this space, because this is where I would run energy most of the time. But templates, pictures. The other week you saw me,
you had your cards up. Yeah.
So look, this is me and mine, but you might have a picture of something that really invokes something, right?
We've talked about the cards, right? And then you could probably have, or some people have an altar in their home, don't they? They draw a card for the day. They have their crystals there. You could have essence there or incense. Have the whole thing.
Yeah, and on occasions, depending on what's going on, I have other sort of templates
books
I
open.
put up.
Yeah.
So this is Chiron in Pisces.
Oh,
I'm Chiron in Pisces. I can pull that out and I can have that sitting in front of me. I've got you can't really see it, but that's Enoch, the symbolism of Enoch.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm working with him at the moment, and he was the first human to ascend into the angelic realm. So he reminds me that it is achievable. And you could even go as far as like the more of the figurine. So this is Kuan Yin. So I have her sitting around to remind me to let go and surrender and come more into my heart. I've got 2 white elephants at the front of the house. So as you come up the steps, you've got 2 white elephants. We learnt about the elephant.
Yes, we did.
In a different podcast. And I even have a couple of rabbits they are rabbits or bunnies, but it's the closest thing I could find to the hare.
Oh, okay.
Which is in the animal magic deck. And I've got a couple of those sitting by a plant. I've got a dragonfly made out of copper sitting in a plant. You can see how you can really work with not only animal energy, templates, figurines, to really invoke an environment that you want to create, a home environment that you want to create. So, yeah. So those are the main tangible ones. Do you have any questions? Because we're going to finish with one that naturally we have to work with energy at some point in our conversation, don't we? So the last one I'm going to be talking to is energy.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm conscious that we're getting close to the end of our hour as well, but I do have, I'm just, again, I'm going for, this is amazing. And you've been like going through this process you've been doing this for 20 plus years, right? For someone who, like me, and I'm into it, like I got some plants and I'd happily get some crystals and things like that and love using incense and candles. I can definitely see the possibilities, but when you were talking about kids' bedrooms, my kids' bedrooms do my head in, right? But Winnie, she has stuff all over her bedroom floor, and every month or so I'll go in and I'll go, come on, we need to sort it out. But she actually really loves that. It makes her feel at home. She's like, I like it.
Yeah, look, I don't think my son is as
Shall I just
bad.
go in there and go?
Yeah, look, my son's the same. Haven't I taught you anything? Because I go around the house, I declutter the house, right? Which is another energy tool, right? My husband and I have trained my husband that every 12 months, if we haven't touched something that's either on top of a ottoman or some on top of a desk or something, or in a cupboard, and we haven't touched it, we'll review it and say, do we really need this?
Yes, that's so good.
And we go through a declutter process.
Yeah.
His only concern is that for him is, I better keep moving because one day you might think that I need to go too. For him to go.
I'm cautious of letting my husband hear this podcast because he'll be like, that's it. And it feels often quite impossible to have the kind of perfection that you visualize is needed to get the energy right. If you could see the rest of this room of Laverne, I've got my lovely background, but I've got boxes everywhere. This is like the junk room.
Yeah.
This is the room that we still haven't unpacked since we moved.
I think there's balance in everything. And going back to your daughter's room on a most practical level, the way you deal with that is she likes her bits where they are, but you could still cleanse a space
Yeah.
with a spray, which
and she loves crystals, so
and use crystals.
yeah.
When working with crystals, cleanse them on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Either wash them, put them out in moonlight, which is more work, you know, but wash them under the tap. So just keep rejuvenating them.
The last but not least, right?
Yeah.
Energy.
Yeah. So look, you may not have access to any of the things or spare cash to get the extra thing, all the things we've talked about that are very tangible. And I really like in the past, so I really, when we talked about animal magic, so I really like this because you can touch and
Yeah.
It was really nice to say, hey, these are all things you can touch and feel. You can really feel this and sense those. But I really still continue to encourage people to play with energy, right? And work with energy. And really, to work with energy, all you have to do is set your intention. So it's about setting intention, just going into a state of stillness, just try and still the mind. And whether you sense or feel this at all, just set your intention. You're connecting up to your higher self. And then you're bringing through color, right? So over the course of the last 10 months, we've talked about different colors, but we're going to finish off on working with white light and cleansing a space with white light. Now, yeah, it takes a bit more leap of faith, but it's like I've said, when you go to the gym, you have to keep going to the gym. You don't suddenly form this beautiful body and beautiful muscles in one session. So it's like going to the gym. The more you work with energy, the more you will start to be sensitive to it and experience it and see what it's creating. And in the outset, for anyone who's really not used to working with energy, you just got to take a leap of faith. You got to take a leap of faith and you just got to trust the process. So I thought we'd use this as an opportunity. So you're going to cleanse your room, right? I'm going to walk you through a process.
Yep.
You're going to cleanse the room you're in. All right.
Okay. Yep.
So actually, what would be useful is just close your eyes, and I just want you to close your eyes. No one's looking at you. I've closed my eyes too. So just close your eyes and as best as possible, just bring your attention into your heart center. So you bring your mind into your heart center and you can work with the breath to do that because what you're really trying to do is just come more into a state of stillness, right? Just try and focus on bringing your attention to the heart, focus on the breath, let go of what you need to do later, what you did prior to coming onto the podcast, and just as best as you can come into a state of stillness and just simply set the intention, I connect with my higher self. And you just say that in your mind's eye. You don't have to verbally say it. Just say, I connect with my higher self. And then imagine in your hands, so you can bring your two hands together and imagine that you're forming a sphere of white light between the palms of your hands. So it's about visualization and intent. So you're just visualizing in your mind's eye and through intention, building pure white light as a sphere in the palm of your hands. Okay. Now, if you're slightly sensitive to energy, you might feel that. Or some people might visualize just the sphere of white light between the palms of their hands. If you don't feel anything, it doesn't mean to say it's not happening. You just got to trust the process and set the intention. So you've now got this sphere of light between your hands, and then you're moving the hands and directing the hands with the sphere to the base of your feet. Okay. So now imagine that your hands are pointing downwards, pointing to the base of your feet, and that sphere of light is dropping into your earth star. So just imagine 6 inches beneath the base of your feet is your earth star, which anchors you into the earth. And this sphere is now dropping and forming around your earth star chakra 6 inches beneath your feet. And from there, just visualize this sphere getting bigger and bigger. And what you could do to help that process, as you breathe in, this sphere is getting bigger. But as it gets bigger, just imagine as you exhale, that sphere is now getting bigger and bigger and is coming up through your body and surrounding you in a sphere of white light. So the breath can be a mechanism to support this process, not only to build this white light, but also to move it and expand it out and up through the body, so that you now visualize in your mind's eye that you're surrounded with this sphere of white light. Okay. So you're now in a sphere of white light, and through intention, all you're doing is expanding that white light out, and it's filling your whole space. So in your context today, to demonstrate a point, this sphere is now just filling the room that you're in and every corner of your room, and you're sitting in the middle of this sphere of white light. Now, again, I want to emphasize this because so many people say, I don't feel anything, I don't see anything. Just work with intention, because all we're doing when we're working with energy initially is setting intention, because energy follows intent. Okay, so that sphere now is filling your space, and as it fills that space, it's absorbing any stagnant old energy, any negative energy, and it's absorbing that. And as it absorbs it, what you're now seeking to do is for that light to be transmuted upwards, out through the top of the sphere and out into the universe. Okay. Now you could sit there for a good 5 to 10 minutes doing this. The sphere is absorbing any low energy, any stagnant energy, absorbing it and moving it up through the top of the sphere out into the universe, and it's just dissolving. So you're just seeing it go beyond your bubble of light, so to speak. Now, for me, I've worked with my space right now, and that's lifted my space. And I'm just trusting my intuition that I've cleared my space working with white light. And I just visualize that bubble dropping away. And that is just one way that you could work with white light, working with energy to lift the frequency, lift the vibration of a room.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
And you can move that around the whole house, basically.
Yeah. Very good. It's calming as well. So we carry energy within us, right? So if you're feeling stressed or you've got something coming up, like that can be quite a good process to ground you into whatever it is you've got coming up, as well as
correct. We've worked with white light just through the body. So what we're really doing is absolutely, because as we bring that through, we're actually supporting ourselves again, and we're just taking that beyond ourselves into our environment. And you could move that sphere right around the whole house.
Yeah.
Right? So that costs nothing. It just takes a bit of time.
Yeah.
It takes faith and trust. Okay. So I think we've covered quite a few different ways that we can work with different tools just to keep lifting the energy of the house.
Yeah, amazing. Love it. Thank you so much.
So when we get together again, I guess we're going to just touch on the past 11 months.
The last 11 months. And yeah, we could do like the 12 days of Christmas.
There might be actually, Nadine,
like the countdown at month number 1, month number 2.
A good approach might be, you might say, hey, Laverne, I'm most interested in touching on this because we will only we'll only have time to touch on them, but it might trigger, we'll do it in a way that triggers, oh, actually, I'm interested. I'll go and check that out.
Yeah.
But there might be one that's a favorite of yours. I'll figure out which one's my favorite.
Cool. Yeah, sounds good. So we'll be doing a summary next month. But in the meantime, for our listeners, thank you for joining us. And one step at a time, right? Get your crystal, put it somewhere with intention, put some plants in your house, clean your space with beautiful aromas, candles, simple things that can help to raise the vibration. Thanks, Laverne.
Thank you, Nadine.
See you next time.